Good morning, everybody. Goose here, aka Mother Goose of Goose Trades and the Anonymous Traders, coming at you again with my second installment of the Benzinga Pro workshop videos. If you missed the first video, it's in the Benzinga Pro playlist. You can rewatch it there. But it was basically an overview of the dashboard, all the tools available, and kind of like a navigation of the dashboard itself. This video is going to be in relation to the newsfeed itself, and I'm going to go over kind of everything that the newsfeed has to offer and how to navigate through it, and maybe some neat little tips and tricks that you don't think about on how to get the news that pertains to you and is the most useful. So before we get started, please like, subscribe down at the bottom, add any comments you need, negative, positive, I don't care. I like criticism, so please, any comments, but like, subscribe, plenty more videos to come. But let's get started here. So this is the news feed over here. This is my main screen. We're not going to look at that the entire time. I want to bring up the news feed itself. I'm going to get rid of this so you can see it as we bring it up. So if I click on news feed, this is a news feed with default settings basically. You'll see everything's color coded already with their default color codes, Benzinga Pros. You've also got at the top here, you can use this search bar to search symbol or keyword, and it will actually filter that into the news. For example, COVID-19 only brings up news in relation to COVID-19. AACR, which is a recent cancer research conference, only brings up information on AACR. That actually was very beneficial for me to find all the different presentations at AACR because they weren't listed on the AACR website. I had to actually go through the news feed, and actually, as you can see, you've got all these different presentations listed, and you'd have to go back because they've been announcing them for a long time now. But you can go back and see all the different news feeds for AACR, presentations and whatnot. So that keyword filter, very useful. We'll go over a little bit more of that at the end here. Just want to touch base on its use as we go across the top. You can go to settings here from this little cog. That'll allow you to go to the news feed headline settings where you can change colors. You can do that in a different area, but this is basically the headline news. You can also change the text size, headline height, highlight key phrases, change the title to title plus abstract, which is like the subheadline, or if you want the full body, which really slows down your news feed, but if you want that, you can click that as well. You can always access the full body text just by clicking on each news article. So I don't recommend using that because it will greatly slow down the news feed. You have this pop-out window here, which is going to allow you to click that, and it actually pops out to a new window. I do tend to use that sometimes as opposed to using my news feed in my window because then when I click on each ticker, it pops out a detailed screen as opposed to filling up your workspace and dividing it. So it's a little bit easier sometimes, but it does take time for that detailed screen to load each time if you don't have it already loaded. So it's quicker in its own workspace, but that does give you an option of popping out the news feed and doing it that way. So a little bit more down here. That X obviously closes it. Your little three dot icons here is your menu, so you can quickly change it from title only to title plus subtitle, which is the little gray title, or you can go to full body, like I said, but don't recommend that. It really slows down your news feed. I like to use title only. It's the easiest for me. Easier to see the different articles, but I could definitely see title plus abstract being a little bit easier on somebody's eyes as well, if you wanted to go that route. Down at the bottom, you still have your chat. That's always there, that floating chat icon. And then we'll scroll over here. You've got all your news headlines. As you can see, like highlighted, there's the price targets and stuff like that. anything like that, and that's what you can turn off and on in the settings if you'd like to. You'll see in this column here, you've got your tickers. You'll see a ticker by itself with no other information. It's going to bring up the little pop-up window there. I'll try to bring it up so you can see it. There you go. Little pop-up window tells you the name of the company, ticker, NASDAQ or exchange, price, your price change for the day or for the session, actually I should say. Whichever sessions it is in is going to be that percentage change there in price change. It's going to give you the small chart at the bottom with the range, the time frame, the open. And that chart at the bottom, you'll see it's got green to red. But also what you'll see throughout the day when you're looking at this is if there is news on something, you'll see a little gold bar sometimes vertically right through that chart. And that is when that news broke. So you can see before and after the price action of the news. I wish I could find one. Let me see if I can scroll down maybe. Down here. Trying to find one that would give you an example. Kind of hard to do in the morning like this. But during market hours, you would be able to see that gold line. So anyway, further down here, so anytime you've got the tickers there, the ticker, if it's green, it's having a positive day. If it's red, it's having a negative day. If it's yellow like this, it's an OTC. So OTC is delayed currently with Benzinga Pro. They're working on getting that real time, but until then, I don't expect this to change. And they may even keep, once that does change, they may keep OTCs yellow just so that they stand out better. I'm not sure. But that is, anytime you see a yellow ticker, it's generally speaking an OTC. Like this one is not an OTC. Not exactly sure why it's yellow. Perhaps because it hasn't changed price. I'm not really sure. But generally speaking, yellow means OTC on that list. Now, when you see the little carrots there, sentiment carrots, those are positive or negative based on green or red, up or down. You can have 1 to 3 carrots, and that's something the Benzinga themselves will add to news articles if they think it gives it bullish or bearish sentiment. Next to the ticker, occasionally you'll see the +1, +72. That means there's going to be another ticker involved with that. You can see here, American company is involved with AstraZeneca. It might not be that they're directly involved or collaborating. Could be a sympathy play. Could be because this is positive news for AstraZeneca, it might be negative for Merck. You'd have to know a little bit more about the two companies in relation to each other to really get a good idea on how it's going to affect the stock. But they do like to add anytime it's an article, especially like this. This is 74 biggest movers, so you'll see there's a bunch of tickers in there. And you can scroll through those tickers, and it brings up that little sub bubble for each ticker. But that's very important sometimes because you'll see, especially if it's like a Canada or TSX, Toronto, any of the different exchanges where the ticker is actually major exchange is the Toronto or Canadian or Tokyo. Sometimes they'll have a US ticker. So you don't want to skip over that. If it's got a +1 on it, it might have the US ticker of the same business listed. So you might be thinking, oh, that's a Toronto exchange. I don't need to look at that news, only to find out that it's got a New York Stock Exchange ticker and that thing's spiking huge off that news, so you just missed out. So just keep that in mind when you're paying attention to the news. Next to that, you've got the time. You see this date. So when the date changes, it'll separate with that little date icon there. But then you've got the time all the way up. Simple. Nothing really to explain there. Then you've got your little different things you can choose from here. So your sources. You've got all the different sources. They do update those, so you're going to want to reload your Benzinga Pro every now and then if you keep it open all the time like I do, just to see if they've added any additional sources. I like to choose all of the sources. That's my personal preference. You can do whatever you'd like, but that's my personal preference. I know several people that like to do just the Benzinga wire. I just feel you're going to miss out on some plays that way. So that's why I like to use everything. All right. And then on categories, you can separate your categories. I would suggest making your newsfeed categories to detail them to you, so it's news that you need, is to go through each one and say, let's go to analyst ratings. And we're going to go to analyst color. Click it. I'm going to click done. And this is all analyst color. Everything's been filtered. So this is only analyst color news articles now. So look through them, see if that stock moves, see if that pertains to you. Okay? And then you could uncheck that and go to the next one. All right? And it's going to do the same thing. This is just the analyst ratings downgrades. See if that kind of news is important to you. So one by one, you're going to go through every little price check. So let's like fintech or general biotech. It's only going to bring up those biotech articles. Notice I have them all color coded in green. So it makes a shout out to me. I like biotech. So just that's a good way to set up your news feed dedicated to you. You got to go one by one, unchecking each one, and seeing what kind of news that filter is going to pop up on your news feed. All right, but you can do whatever you'd like here. It doesn't make a difference. You can. Big Beat from Benzinga uses no filters. He just likes to see all the news. You don't want to miss anything. And if you've got the time to look at the news feed and sit there and stare at it, that's really the best way to go. There's several times that you would miss breaking news, like INO's DoD contract last week. It was released at 3 a.m. But if you weren't looking at all the news and you had your filters on with the categories, you probably would have missed it, because I didn't find it until 7:30 a.m. because my categories filtered it out. Had I been looking at all the news like this, I would have caught it at 3 a.m., been able to make a nice entry before the 7:30 a.m. spike. So just an example of why you might want to use all the categories, or no category filters. Now you will get a ton of news by doing that, so just keep that in mind. Next to categories, you've got sectors, so you can filter down by sector, subsector, and even sub-subsector. So just all that's going to bring up is news on agricultural inputs. All right, see? So just keep that in mind. Filter them all down all you want. And then you can also do watch lists. So if you create watch lists through the scanner, the screener tool, or if you create your own watch list for whatever, you can filter the news just for your watch list. So I'm going to filter it for this week. This was my weekly watch list this week. And there's my news for just my weekly watch list, if that's something that I want to do. I do use that feature for my watch list. I have a position watch list that I like to create, and it'll have all my positions in it. I make a newsfeed watch list just for that and turn on desktop notifications, and it's going to let me know of any news on that watch list. But you can use desktop notifications how you like. You can turn them on for your entire newsfeed. I like to use desktop notifications for my watch list and my signal alerts. And my signal alerts will also be filtered by my watch list. So I've got a news feed with my watch list filter with this desktop notifications on, and I've got a signal alerts with my watch list filter with desktop notifications on. I'll touch base more on signal alerts on the next video, not the next video, but another video down the road in the Benzinga Pro Workshop. So again, all you gotta do is check that, whatever you'd like, turn them off or on. The little icon there is gonna let you know. You can also change the sounds for that in the settings if you'd like as well. So I'm gonna turn that watch list filter back off. Okay, and then something that I touched base or noticed last night, I should say, very important here, and this is, I guess, a good example, but what I was talking about. So CYDY, if you type that in, you get a bunch of news here. Notice it's news I can't even click on. It's a partner link news, and all it says is whatever it's about the Mexico deal yesterday. So that's great, it comes up with the partner links. But the reason I bring that up is if we go to my main news feed here with my categories, type in CYDY, you would think you would get that news, and it's not there. You see that June 17th is the last news, which is actually why CYDY has been moving. Ever since this Superstock article has been posted, CYDY has been skyrocketing. And so you've noticed there's just not a lot of news. It just doesn't seem like there is. Well, I've already pointed this out to Benzinga to have their team look at it, but if you type in Cytodyne, which is the name of the company, with all these news feeds, now you see it's got the Mexico deal right here, but no ticker. So that's why it didn't pop up in my news feed before when I typed in CYDY. And there is a ton of news. So hopefully they're going to get that fixed. I don't know if that's even a Benzinga Pro issue. I think it's actually a like algorithm issue across all news sites, because I looked back and CYDY just did not move much off of these news articles. But when there was a CYDY news article with the ticker attached, price action happened. So I'm thinking it's not Benzinga's issue. It's, a wide scale algorithm issue with CYDY on that. So that was my point there, though. If you were looking at all news, you would actually catch that CYDY as a partner link, because it's got the ticker partner link. You can't click on the article, but you can click on this one. It's the same article. This is posted by Benzinga, or reposted. It's not posted by Benzinga, it's posted by GLM, but it's not a partner link post, so to speak. It's just missing the ticker, so that's why it doesn't pull up. Very interesting. That's the only ticker I found to do that. I went through quite a few tickers last night to see if it was like OTC tickers or something specific, and I couldn't figure it out. But anyway, I'm kind of going a little long on this video, longer than I wanted. I apologize. I like to ramble. I like to let y'all know of stuff I find and what have you. So another thing that you can do here, when you click these, like I said, it's going to bring up details screen to your workspace. That's generally how I have my news. I've got a news feed and a details screen anytime you click the ticker. It works the same when it's a +1 sign like that. If you go down the +1 and you click on the other one, see that's a Toronto Stock Exchange, it'll bring up that news too. All right, and then that's pretty much it. Like I said, you got a lot of news popping in. You see how it highlighted all those? That's all news that is just popping in. I haven't looked at yet, so it was highlighted to let me know, hey, this is new news that you haven't seen yet. You might want to take a look. You can turn that on or off in the settings as well, that little highlight feature. One other thing that I wanted to touch base on with the news feed here, you'll see COVID-19 is highlighted here. Okay, I did that with a extension. So Chrome has an extension tool. I'm actually using Edge, but I'm using the Chrome version of Edge. So it's called multi-highlight extension tool. And so get that extension, highly recommend it. You put in words down here, COVID-19, FDA approved, approval, merger acquires, partnership, cancer, diabetes, HIV, AIDS. You can put whatever you want. If you find something, a keyword that's moves the market, so to speak, or is important to you, you can turn it on or off, and just type in those keywords there. Hit that little switch, it'll turn it off. You see nothing's highlighted there that was highlighted previously. And turn it on, and now it's highlighted again. You can change the color of the highlights as well, but that just kind of pops up stuff like partnership, you see, partnership, COVID-19, merger. Just gives you a little bit FDA, a little bit more of a shout out on your news feed, something in related to, something you want news on. You want it brought to your attention, so to speak. So that's pretty much it. There's not too much. You could definitely tinker around with some things. I do highly recommend using the filter keywords. Um, you can only keyword filter one thing, so you can't put in CRL and then put in FDA approval, because that's not gonna filter anything out. It's gonna give you nothing, because anytime there's a CRL, it's not gonna be an FDA approval at the same time. This does say approval right here, but that's not an FDA approval. So just keep that in mind. You can do like CRL and Trump. More than likely, well, it actually brought out a couple, but you can see how it really didn't bring up too much information there by combining those. I usually like to make a keyword workspace that'll have 4 news feeds in it with different keywords. You know, single different keywords that I like to use. If you're big on analyst ratings, you could do that. Big on mergers and stuff like that, you could do that. Big on FDA approvals and different types of ways that the FDA could give you positive results or negative results. You can use that keyword filter. Highly recommend the keyword filter. Highly recommend the watch list with the desktop notifications. I cannot stress that more. Like I said, you don't have to use categories. I'll make another video later on that will show how I set up my newsfeed, but I'd suggest going through one by one, finding the news that relates to you, and setting up your own newsfeed, because my newsfeed might not be good for you. Keep that in mind. You always want to be self-sufficient and create your own setups, do your own due diligence, and yeah, so. All right, guys. Well, that pretty much covers it. I did not touch base. Let me touch base real quick. So I did say you can color code all these on the settings, but you also have this little bar here, so you can color code all your stuff. Highly recommend that as well, so that stuff stands out to you. Your brain operates on color. So in your news feed, as your brain's looking at it, if it sees a color, automatically will know exactly what that's in relation to, and you don't even have to read. Your brain reacts to color quicker than reading, so to speak. So anyway, you can change that. If you want black, you cannot. You have to actually click the X, and it'll go back to black. I do recommend black for some things, so that those stand out. You'd be surprised how much black will stand out once you have the entire news feed colored as well, with other color options. But just keep that in mind. So that's it, guys. Please, again, like, subscribe. I've got many more videos coming on the way. I plan to have this Benzinga Pro workshop videos all done by the end of the week, and then we can start really digging in deep on tips, tricks, how to use, how I use, and actually, stock type videos, because I really like to get into that as well. And, so hopefully I'll get all those done by the week, and then you'll have a nice little Benzinga Pro workshop playlist that you can go through. So again, like, subscribe, leave a comment, anything you want me to talk about, I will touch base on. And I also put a link for Benzinga Pro in the comments. Highly recommend it. It is by far the best resource you could have for trading. Thanks, guys.